Morning everyone, we're still at Dusseldorf and today I've got the pleasure to bring you the Allures 50. Right at the back here you have the transom, which obviously lifts up. You can have it as it drops down. It's on gas struts to make it a lot easier, but it pulls up, as you can see through here in the clutch, and you can just put the line on the winch and pull it forward. You have an area for your life raft if you want, if you don't have it on the railings, and a spare or other bits and pieces. And in here you have a locker for, you know, your stuff. There's a key principle to this Allure, and it's how they actually have divided. We'll look in a minute of actually how they've divided the cockpit. So you actually have 3 individual spaces, one for entertaining over there, which we'll see in a minute, one for skippering and piloting the boat, and the aft cockpit section here, which is, you know, for doing all your fenders, putting your lines in, etc. It's so that there's 3 clear zones of how you are to actually make your crossings and your sailings a lot more comfortable, practical and ergonomic. Just going to have a look down in this locker here, which is mirrored on the other side. So you have your exhaust, heater, a large locker if you want to put fenders in, and access to your steering quadrants in case there's a problem. I'll close this one down so people don't go falling in the hole, and you'll see that that's mirrored over there. There is a large, very large cough, as they call it in French. I don't know if you want to call it a dinghy garage or storage. I'm actually down inside it, but it's a fantastic place for putting all your fenders. And once again, you have access, if you need it, into the side with these mesh panels over here. And obviously for your emergency tiller, just in case there's ever a problem with one of them. This is a crash bulkhead, and this is a watertight bulkhead too. Give me a second to climb out of this hole. I think it's a really good area, you know, to put all your lines, all your fenders, all that sort of stuff. Keep them out of the way. Behind each helm seat, which I think is very practical, you have these large bins, lockers for storing security gear or anything that you want, really, extra life jackets, extra lines. Right, before we do the cockpit, I'm going to take you around the boat. It's fitted rear. Your 2 rear winches are manual, but I'm sure there's an option to have them electric. There's an Anderson 46 self-tailing, and as per normal, you'll see along the deck that all your lines, everything, come off or whatever you want. You have a clutch down along here. There are secure points for blocks or your harness everywhere. On the left, you'll see more when we come into the cockpit, but obviously you have all your clutches for your principal winch, which is a 58-inch self-tailing, and you have a second. These 2 winches here are electric. You'll see them again in a minute, and another 46 self-tailing electric winch. Nice bins for your lines for when everything's finished, to keep it all nice and tidy and keep them out the cockpit. And as you can see, they all run through underneath the coach roof. Coming forward on the starboard side, you have Saloon Genoa tracks. Really nice, really beefy gear. It's nice to see. All non-slip on the coach roof, and they have one of the difference, we mentioned this on the 40, one of the difference between the Allure and the Garcia is the Allure is a lot more comfortable and family orientated for world cruising and pleasure cruising. The main hull is solid aluminium, and then everything on top, the deck, coach roof, everything else is composite infused resin. So it's a lot easier to fix things to change how they want, add solar panels, all that sort of stuff, all that sort of gear. Right, obviously you have your vang, boom. There is an option on the Arch to actually have a main sheet traveller, so you don't have to have the German main sheet system like this. You can have a main sheet traveller, be able to keep that downforce and obviously better position your sails. I can't show the entire mast because obviously it's an indoor boat show and there's only a bit of it. It only comes with an infurling mast, infurling mainsail, just for ease of sailing. For security, once again, I've probably already mentioned this, but you've got your granny bars either side, which are really practical and superb. And as we go forward, you have this beautiful flush deck. When I get all the way, I'll give you a proper look when we turn around. You have integral bowsprit with your anchor roller chain and your Lumar electric winch, and you can see your foot controls there. This boat can come equipped with jib, genoa, code Z, you know, use your spinnaker, etc. I mean, the options just go on and on. And here is your forward storage locker. You have controls for some of your electrics for the winch and so on there, and lights. Huge area for putting spare lights, spare lines, fenders, sails. I went down in here the other day, and I think you've got room to stand up if you're 6 foot, and just forward here in this hatch is where your chain locker is and everything else, and it's a sealed hatch. So once again you have crash bulkhead there, forward, and a watertight bulkhead here as well. Taking a look aft, you can see just the sheer amount of space on this foredeck. It's absolutely spectacular. You've got your forward windows there for your saloon, and your hatches here, 2 hatches for the forward VIP berth, and you'll see when we get in a hatch for the heads and another hatch over there. Coming down on the port side, once again, Genoa tracks. There are grab rails everywhere, and if you can imagine here, you have a nice dodger covering all that, and you can have a section that they bring back further here. This is the one thing that I think is really clever about this boat that defines it more from its little sister. You have absolute clear passage all the way through, so you have your workspace aft, as we mentioned earlier, clear passage into your helm area either side, and then as we go forward you have once again all the way through, and there's a couple of nice tricks with the tables. I'll just give you a pano of the cockpit, which is completely free of all the sailing systems and the lines, so your guests or your family or your kids don't have to worry about getting in the way or tangled up lines. And here are your 2 helm stations, stainless steel wheels, but there's an option if you want carbon. Each helm station has electric throttle controls for the Volvo Penta engine, obviously light controls, deck lights, mooring, running rigging. This is for your bow and stern thrusters, port and secondary winches, Starboard secondary winches for the electric, so you can control, you know, switch over from box to box. And obviously your B&G navionics. Then over on this side, it's pretty much mirrored. Got your navionics, bow, stir, thruster, anchor up and down, and there's a chain counter, electric throttles. Obviously for starting, this is mirrored on the other side for starting your engine. Compass on either side. It's just great. You can be sailing here on each helm. They've got, the pedestals are fantastic. They've got really good grab bars, you know, so you're not having to hang on to the wheel if you don't need to. Your electrics for your winches either side are here. You can be working from one wheel to the other. I don't have to move. You've got one winch, got another winch, and if you need to come forward a little bit, you then have access out of the cockpit and down the sides through here too. You don't need to go into this area whatsoever if you don't want to. The tables are fantastic. There are, you'll see, I can pull this one out. You have a clear passage all the way through, so you can use the table one side or the other, or if you're at anchor somewhere and you're moored up. For all your friends, for gin and tonics and rum and cokes and, you know, all the lovely food at anchor. It's a huge table, beautifully made, nicely inset steel, stainless steel hinges. And just fold those back and get them out the way. Some things that you don't get so much on production boats, where companies like Allures, Garcia, ML think about for when you're at sail. You've got bars for your feet, if you're on the hill a little bit. It's a self-draining cockpit. Beautifully protected area. You have repeater instruments like your companionway. You know, USB charging, somewhere for your drinks. There's lots of little things, clever little things going on. But this boat, really, their philosophy is, if you're going to go well cruising or round the Med or wherever you're going to go with your family or your friends, you want the security and the comfort and just to actually have a really pleasant time while you're sailing your boat. Your washboards come up and lock off. Give me 2 seconds so I can drop them down, because there's 2 gadgets either side. I need 2 hands. So they store nicely out of the way, and obviously, you know, your hatch slides back. Nice wide non-slip steps going down into the saloon area. It's a raised saloon, so standing I can see, you know, out the windows there, and sitting you're at a very good height to see out of your port lights. I'm going to step back just so you can see actually how magnificent this saloon is. Look at that. It's a 50 foot that feels like a 60 foot. I shall turn around just to where I was standing. You have your galley offset, U-shaped galley down on the port side. There are 2 steps down. That's okay. You have your stainless steel dual sink, very small one for draining, large one. Fresh water, salt water, and, you know, hot and cold water. All your cupboards, same cupboardware as you get in the Garcia and so on, so they're all fully milled aluminium locks. Really, really nice. Got your fridge, stainless steel fridge system. Seen this on the other videos. Dishwasher, more storage underneath. This isn't a mirror back here, goes all the way back. You know, got little spaces down there, plus some mains plugs, more storage here, and large cupboard there, one next to it. Don't want to upset everybody, so we won't go opening them all. And obviously loads of, see how far back that goes, it's just ridiculous. So along here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 large lockers up above, and then you're just into, you know, you've got a 3 gimbaled gas stove. It can be induction if you want induction. We've discussed this before. Once again, I said I'll leave a link up around here somewhere about the amount of insulation that they use between the aluminium and then soundproofing and so on. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. More drawers, nothing plastic here, it's all solid wood, nicely joined, you know. Soft closing, handy little bin for bread or something, I suppose. I won't open them all. Oh, wine bottles. How many wine bottles could we get in those? Storage underneath the floors. There's more cupboards here, and you have one of those bin jobbies. Look at this saloon. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You have what is considered a seating area or a dual nav station. So, I mean, in theory, you can do your work from either side. It's mostly a comfortable chair. Really nice. Chatting with the sales guy the other day while I was sitting in here. It's very comfortable. So in your nav area, you have a 12-inch B&G chart plotter, your VHF radio, repeaters, fusion stereo, your electric, master volt electric, I've lost my words, it's, you know, French, German, English this week, it's a bit crazy. And then obviously your system, so you can see how much water, diesel, you know, etc., what lights are on. Very, very clever piece of kit. And don't want to ruin it all for them, quite a nice little area for your charts and cables for charging and everything else. This boat comes with air conditioning and heating like its little sister. You can see the heating vents, heating, aircon. It's just, there's just all these lovely little touches, you know, aluminium bars, just nice little shelves. I know you say that I look at this stuff too much, but it's important. If you're going to go off long term, you need all these little bits and pieces. Nice big fiddles, more storage area. Look how tight these joints are. It's not bad, huh? More space. And these, those 3 windows you saw up in the foredeck. We're going to start in the aft cabin. As you remember from the Allure 40 we looked at and the Garcia, there is a technical room. What they've done in here is incorporated that technical room into the living space. It helps it to be a little bit more attractive. Just by the stairs you have your watermaker controls. There is access into mechanical space here and here. You have a freezer here, a workbench which is hardtop. So there's actually a workbench here, or you can use it for whatever. Your kids can do painting or gluing and sticking on it. Washing machine. Some very handy shelves for tools and bits and pieces. They've tried to make it nice because as the boat's larger, it's part of the living space and it's just nice to have a workspace, but it is pretty much set up the same as it was in the others. So you have drawers all the way down, and then here, as you had with the Allure 40 and the smaller Garcia, you've got your trays for your spare parts and bits and pieces in that cupboard, and the same here, and access to water filters for the water maker and so on. I'm going to move back a little bit before we go into the aft cabin. Speaking with Jerome, the head of Allures and Garcia over here, he said obviously with this size of the boat we can fit in loads of cabins if we want, you know, 5 cabins, be like a production boat, but it's not really our genetic makeup. What we want is people to have large, comfortable spaces that are well made, well built, and obviously functional at the same time. So you have your 220 volt system here, obviously your main switches for engine, generator, water filters, everything's nice and easy, fuel scrubbers, all your, you know, everything's nicely marked up, big chunky cables, switches for your winches, bits and pieces, charge master, everything is all labelled, all numbered, just in case if you have a problem, you need to do something in the future. Hot water tank, expansion tanks. Just further forward there you have a Panda generator if you need it, and your Volvo Penta 150 horse engine. And this boat, obviously being an Allure, is shaft driven. They have a nice protective cover over the top of the shaft, so that if you're having to work in here while the engine's on or do something, you know, you're not going to get loose clothing or something wrapped around the shaft and have a nasty accident. It's a very light, very large workspace, and you can lift the stairs so you can get access to the generator as well. I just like what they do. If you want to know how high the space is in the hallway, I'm 5'8". Turn it like that so you can see more. There's loads of space, absolutely loads of space. So turn you round forward. Okay, owner's cabin, aft cabin. I'll give you a lovely pano first before we start going around it. Very, very nice for a 50-foot boat. You have a large king-size bed with drawers underneath, and the bed will pop up for storage. There is storage and access here and on the floor there, as you can see. You have some very nice cupboards either side. I won't open them all, otherwise we will be in here all day, and I know that they're keen to let their appointments come through and have a look at the boat. There is storage down the sides. You have your thermostat controls, heater or air con, USB chargers, light switches. It's a really nice bed. Around the edge of this bed it's all stitched leather, which is very nice. Very nice 2-seater couch. I think the colour scheme in this boat's really, really pretty, but it's just my opinion. More storage down the side. More storage down over here, and obviously you have your aircon or heating vents there. And coming forward into, for those that like ventilation, you have an opening hatch here that goes into the cockpit, an opening hatch there, and I know either side, don't want to spin you around everywhere, there are 2 more opening hatches to let air in, and that was one of the small opening hatches we saw up on the deck. Electric flush toilet, you can have manual, which is my preference. It's not everybody else's. Self-draining, but there is a pump as well. For the shower, separate shower. All Corian worktops, but they've got fiddles too, and a nicely set in little stainless steel sink storage underneath, and obviously cupboards for all your gubbins. I'll show you the size of the shower. It's a very, very good size shower. Walls all the way over here. Once again, you have another hatch here. And to give you an idea of the height, once again, I have to tilt the camera, sorry. I'm 5'8" and I have all this extra room. So loads and loads of space. Right, let's bring you out of here. Something else to notice, which I'm not pointing out, or I haven't been everywhere, there are grab handles. So in here, in the shower, in the bedroom, if you know, once you come out and have to go forward, you have all these nice fiddles along the workbench, and here, you know, and here, and on the table, and over here. It's just everywhere. So we're going to come forward. On the port side, you have the day heads, electric flush, you know, pretty much the same stuff. Nice sink and another separate shower. And this can, if you have guests, you can close the door on the day heads, and then your guests can have their own private access from their cabin. So just close that up. And then on the starboard side, a nice little bunk room for the kids, or extra guests, or crew. If you're going across the Atlantic or the Pacific and you want some help, nice little spot. USB chargers, mains plug. Not a lot of storage in that cabin, but you know, they've tried to be clever and put it in, you know, little places, and you have storage underneath the floor. And then forward, you have your main guest cabin, or VIP cabin, or if you have an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old, you know, they want their own space because they're stroppy. This is their very, very nice space. They have two lovely port lights. If I haven't mentioned it, all the port lights, all the windows, all the hatches have insect blinds and privacy blinds. You have two opening hatches in this cabin, and once again, as you can see, USB charging, mains plugs. You know, there's plugs and USB charging on either side of the bed too, and you have your heater and air conditioning controls on either side. And once again, they're just grab handles everywhere. Really nice hanging locker with some shelves underneath. That's nicely done, very nicely done. And we'll come out of here. I won't pull these chairs out of the way because I know there are people waiting to come on now, but you have access to your dagger board, or centerboard, however you want to call it. Big bit of metal that comes down is under here for the pin, and it's actually on electrics that are obviously sorted out at the helm stations, and you can bring it all up in case there's a problem and sort of fix it. So I'm just going to sit down by this on this nav table. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below. I'll leave a link in the corner for the Allure 40 and the Garcia we looked at. And just want to say a big hi if you guys haven't seen it. I bumped into Ryan and Sophie from Polar Seal yesterday. Absolutely amazing people. Gave me a bit of time. We had a little chat and stuff. Super people, and they're really motivating. So if you don't know who they are, I'll leave a links down here for their channel. Please go over, have a look, like and subscribe. Okay, on to the next boat. Thank you.